Hello, welcome back to Math Time with Professor Prime, and I am your host as always, Professor Prime. And today we're going to talk about math and Key and Peele. Let's get into it. Key and Peele is one of my favorite comedy shows of all time. And if you didn't know, Key and Peele is a comedy show, but not just any comedy show. It's a sketch comedy show, and it aired on Comedy Central between 2012 and 2015. It had 53 episodes across 5 seasons and one Super Bowl special. And hey, we're early in on this, and we're already getting into math. How about that? But yeah, so they did a lot in a short amount of time. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to talk about how math is used in comedy and how math is used in sketch shows and how Key and Peele use math in their show. And as we do that, talking about how I found the show. Well, I mean, spoilers, I guess. I enjoyed it, but you already heard that it was one of my favorite comedies of all time, so that can't be a shock, right? But with that in mind, I am going to have fun with this, and I hope you do too. And by the end of this, I also want to talk about YouTube and Key and Peele because that's key to their journey, and there's a lot of math to be discussed there too. So let's start talking about math and comedy. All right, so with math and comedy, the idea for me is that they go better together than you may think. When it comes to comedy, right, it's all about the jokes. And there are, of course, complexities involved when you're talking about the jokes, but the basic formula for a joke is you have the setup plus the punchline, and that's equal to the joke. And I think it's interesting how that basic formula can be implemented, right? Because like I said, there's complexities to it. There can be jokes within jokes. The setup may not be exactly what you thought, or the punchline may not exactly be what you thought. There are layers to it, and how it all works and how it all functions. And the thing about comedy is timing is key, right? So not only is there math involved in the basic telling of a joke, there's not just math in formulating a joke, but telling it, right? There's math in the execution of a joke. And I think that's really cool. And when it comes to different mediums, there's a lot of math involved in telling a joke in different mediums, right? Because how you tell a joke in written form is different than how you talk about it, or how you're going to deal with it when you hear it in audio form, or how you might see it in visual form. There's a lot of ways that you could tell a joke, and a lot of math in all of it. But even when you're dealing with the same sort of style of telling a joke, it varies from medium to medium, right? Because let's take TV. If I'm telling a joke on a TV show, it varies how I'm going to tell that joke. If comedy is the focus of the show, it's still going to vary, right? Because let's take Key and Peele, right? It's a sketch comedy show. And how you tell a joke in a sketch comedy show is going to be different than how you tell a joke in a sitcom like Community, or how you tell a joke in an animated comedy like Rick and Morty. And even though Rick and Morty and Community are very similar in their meta styles and some plot devices and things and how that work, they still tell jokes differently. They have to. And I think that's all fascinating. But back to Key and Peele. The way Key and Peele work in terms of their show is there is a certain formula to how the show flows. Basically, right? Not every segment has an intro, but a lot of segments do have an intro, and in that intro they talk about different concepts, and then those concepts are then displayed in the sketch. And in that sketch, there's not a set amount of time for each sketch. Each sketch varies in length, but you get that feeling when you're watching the show that everything is very, very calculated. So when a segment takes a certain amount of time, it wasn't an accident. They used as much time to tell the joke within their own constraints of the episode, right? Because they only given a certain amount of time in that episode. You get like a half an hour episode, you get pretty much 22 and a half minutes to tell whatever you need to tell in that show. And in this case, they're doing sketches, so they have to be careful like how long each sketch is, but right, they're also taking time to do the introduction to those sketches. So everything has to be calculated to tell the jokes that they want to tell. And then when you get to those sketches, right, there's so many jokes. Some are reoccurring. You get certain gags, but timing is key. Subversion is key, and I think it's all amazing. And then with Key and Peele, not only are like is the show interesting, but YouTube was a big tool to get their show out there more, right? Because not everyone has cable, not everyone watches everything that's on Comedy Central, right? But Comedy Central did have a YouTube channel, and on that YouTube channel, they did post sketches of Key and Peele show. So I think that's interesting for a couple reasons, right? Because on YouTube, you can make money off your videos, and there's like math in that money, right? But that's not all. Like in terms of the viewer, you have only so much time in a day, and you gotta be selective of where you're gonna spend that time. And you might not watch an entire episode, right? For several reasons, right? Because you might not want to spend that time, or because you're not guaranteed that every sketch is gonna hit. But the point being is this: you're not gonna spend every hour watching every show. So when you're looking at videos like on YouTube, for instance, the length varies too. But if you see a sketch that's like 2 minutes, right, is compared to a show that might be like 22 minutes, you're probably going to take a risk on that video, right? It's like less time that you invested. So if the jokes aren't hitting, if the sketch doesn't work, then you invested your time, but not as much time as you would have on a complete and total show. So I feel like having that for a sketch comedy show is brilliant, because if you have like the sketches on YouTube, it's fine because each has its own story. My phone kind of glitched out for a second, but what I was saying was each sketch tells its own story. Like even if it's a reoccurring gag in each sketch, or sorry, in a set of sketches, each particular sketch tells its own story. So you can have a sense of completion after watching that. And I think that also helps. Whereas if you're watching a show, that's not necessarily the case, right? Because if you have a show and there's continuity involved, you're going to want to start from the beginning and kind of go from there, right? That's what most people would want to do, I feel. And the thing about that is, right, that's a larger investment, right? Because you're not only investing the time in one episode, you're investing the time in an entire show or entire season or show. There was a better way to say that. But, okay, I'm going to get that out of the way. Right, there's a difference between spending time on a 2 to 3 minute sketch in an episode of a show, in a season of a show, and a show itself. And in short, YouTube was a good idea in terms of getting the word out there, in terms of getting people to see their material. I think it really helped, and those videos still get a lot of hits on YouTube. With that in mind, Key and Peele, not long ago, I think like within this last year or two, they ended up having their own YouTube channel where they had their videos up. So it's like there's more opportunity for growth there and getting people to see those episodes that they may not have seen. And ideally, there would be money involved where they would be getting paid, and that would be nice. That being said, there's a lot of math in comedy, a lot of math in Key and Peele, and how they tell a bunch of mini stories in an episode. And there's a lot of math and being a viewer and deciding if you're going to watch those things. And I would be absolutely ashamed if I made a Key and Peele video and I didn't mention one of my favorite sketches in the show, which was the High on Pot News sketch, because that sketch was all about math. And I'm going to leave a link to that in the description, and also a couple other links too that you all might find interesting. But yeah, that one was hysterical. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but it was amazing. Math was at the forefront in it, so I was absolutely delighted to see an episode like that. That being said, if you have never seen Key and Peele, I hope you check it out. If you have, I hope you look at it in a different way, because with Key and Peele, they're working with different writers, They're working with each other, of course. They're working with sound. They're working with lighting, costumes, design. They're working with a lot of different parties. They were working with a lot of different parties when they were doing this show, and it all came together. And there's a lot of math in all of it to bring you really hysterical moments, and that's amazing to me. Math is everywhere, and that isn't a bad thing. And there's a lot of math in comedy, and Key and Peele were really good at it. So yeah, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Professor Prime out.